embodiment. That is the energy today, around me today specifically. And this little spark just came through to me, which was, up until summer solstice, it is about becoming. So from winter solstice through to summer solstice, it is about becoming. Who you are becoming, who you need to become to carry out your destiny for this year, to become who you're meant to be, to have the impact you're meant to have on the world, on the frequency, on everything, on the universe. That is winter to summer. And then summer to winter is being. So winter to summer is becoming. Summer to winter is being. And every single thing that you go through between winter solstice and summer solstice is an experience, a challenge to unlock skills, knowledge, remembrance, intuition within you. So the amount of discomfort between winter solstice and summer solstice directly matches the amount of growth that was needed. So if you've had an easy winter to summer, then you were probably pretty close to being in alignment, pretty close to being on the right track anyway. If your winter to summer has been uncomfortable, frustrating, irritating, like mine has, then you were probably quite a way off the path. And these things, everything that has happened has brought you closer. And some of it's joy, and some of it's amazing experiences. You know, going to Edinburgh was an amazing experience and it brought me closer. Going to Lindisfarne was an amazing experience and it brought me closer. Going to the Druids temple was amazing and brought me closer. And some of it's the worst things that you have to go through. The conflicts, the just sitting in discomfort for week after week, trying to work out where the discomfort's coming from. You know? The pressure. The universe is trying to force you to move. And as you refuse, that pressure gets worse and worse, and you get more and more uncomfortable. Now, if you've been following my video diaries, you know that when summer solstice hit on Sunday, we're now on Friday, there was a real clear moment, feeling for me, where it was like the jigsaw pieces are together. I can see the picture now. All those jigsaw pieces that have been coming at me and I've been holding on to and all that kind of stuff, all of a sudden they came together and I could see the picture. And now when I look back over the winter to summer, I can see the breadcrumbs. I can see how I went from there to here. I can see the pathway. I can see what happened. And anyway, so that was so Sunday was kind of the realization that, oh, I see the picture now. Monday, I kind of tried to run with that far too quickly without being led by the energy. And I found myself in a massive amount of frustration. That frustration was how I started Tuesday. But the using the frustration as a signal to point me in a direction helped me to come through that. Wednesday was, I can't quite remember what Wednesday was. Maybe it was just the realignment, so I started kind of noticing the alignment and noticing the energy and really tuning into it again. And then yesterday it was about the invite. Where was I being invited? Where was the energy inviting me? And today it feels like embodiment. So it feels like I have been on a full arc since Sunday of, right, you are now her, right, now be her. You've become her, now be her. And that is where I'm at right now. And with that, I'm going to pause this video and go put some lashes on because I look half dead. I got the lashes on, but honestly, that is literally the only thing I've managed to do today. I've put a bit of moisturiser on, but wowzers, my face was sweating, my ears were sweating, everything was sweating. And while it isn't sunny here in the UK today, it is thunder, lightning, the humidity is Hi. So we're still kind of like, you know, killing ourselves over here in this heat. It's just ridiculous. And do you know what? People are saying that this is probably going to be the coolest summer that we're going to have for a while. So, you know, maybe we all need to start investing in aircon. But when you only have heat waves and hot weather for maybe 4 days a year, you don't bother. You just moan about it instead. Anyway. So let's get back to embodiment. So embodiment is, so if winter to summer solstice is the becoming and summer solstice onwards is the being, then you've got to come to some kind of a understanding of who you are now, because you are not who you were. And unless those beliefs and those conditions shift with you, then you're going to live the rest of this season in the frequency of the woman that you were before, and continue in the discomfort, because this is the cycle. And you know, you've heard that saying, something along the lines of the universe will keep sending you the lessons until you learn them. And that's kind of the vibe, I suppose. It's not as harsh as that, but that's the vibe. You have free will. You can choose which way you want to go. But one way will feel good and another way will feel like struggle and hardship. And you know, I know for a fact from sitting and having some deep conversations with someone close to me who is old, that she finds it really difficult to look back on life and see it as something that was good and joyful. You know? Oh, she remembers moments, she remembers the big holidays, she remembers the things like that, but the majority of her life, when she looks back on it, she doesn't look back on it with she looks back on it with resentment. I don't want to look back on my life with resentment because I've felt like I've been in struggle and survival mode all the time. I want to look back on my life and be like, yes, I followed the energy, I followed my alignment. It meant life was generally bloody good. That's how I want to feel. And I feel like that this morning. You might have noticed that you might maybe, I don't know. I feel a shift in my energy. You might notice it in my eyes, in my smile and stuff like that. But for the first time in a long time, I woke up this morning happy. I was literally smiling as I was making a cup of tea. What's that about? And it's because I'm reconnected to this magic. I'm reconnected to this like different way of living again. And I'm not saying I haven't been in it. I have been in it. But I have been, when I say that I live 1 foot in the matrix, 1 foot in the magic, I guess I've been 80% matrix recently. And now I'm 80% magic. Maybe not 80%, maybe I'm not quite there yet, but I'm certainly in the magic and life feels exciting. And every day it's unfolding. This arc that I'm going through at the moment is unfolding every day. And that makes me as a human feel like I'm making progress. I'm not having decision fatigue. I'm not having to plan. I'm not having to, go after something. I'm just letting it unfold. And there's an element of relaxation and ease and just joy in just letting that unfold. And how exciting that I'm not controlling life and that life just gets to unfold for me and I'm not the one who's trying to force it into being, you know? Anyway, ramble. So where were we? So I guess my question for today really is along the lines of, who have you become between winter solstice and summer solstice? And how do you be her? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? And I lent into that a little bit yesterday, and I'm beginning to realise that maybe when I do these things, I do generally, because I work from home and I'm generally in the house on my own most days, I can talk to myself, right? I'm a self-projected projector. I know I like to hear things in my voice. So oftentimes I either speak out loud or I actually record as I'm going into meditation visualizations, not record, but I speak out loud. So I'm thinking I could record those and then share those as tools for you guys, but we'll see. They feel a bit personal at the moment, and maybe that's the way they should be. That little bit of fringe is really annoying me. Anyway, so I've been talking a lot about rebelling against who I foresaw as the person I was going to become back in like October time. And the universe has sent me challenges and experiences and joys and glimmers and triggers and all the things. And here I stand at summer solstice, literally being that woman that I was rebelling against. And it feels amazing, actually, by the way. So, you know, sometimes acceptance and being in the contentment frequency, actually, you know, and gratitude and appreciation and just being okay with yourself is actually like a really good place to be. Anyway, so this is when I like to start creating. Not creating. So your life is a story, and the story unfolds as you live it. And you live it through you being the main character of your story. So if you can actually tune in to who you are as a main character, it helps to embody it. I'm saying you, me, this is what I do. So I'm still not used to actually kind of talking in this way where I'm kind of like, for years I've talked in a way that is, I'm teaching you, I'm showing you the way. And actually I'm trying to kind of spin that and be, not trying, it feels right to come from this place of, this is me, this is what I'm going through now. Because I'm not becoming anymore, I'm documenting who I am. Does that make a difference? Does that make sense? Anyway, I'm all over the place this morning, aren't I? So, main character energy. So, what I like to do is I like to think of my favourite genre. So for me, that is kind of fantasy, romantasy, that kind of vibe. Because I like magic, right? So because I believe in energy and I like magic and planets and powers and I don't know, that kind of stuff. So, you know, this kind of thing lights me up. Crime dramas don't really have the same vibe for me. So, you know, fantasy, romantasy, you know, stories of witches, stories of powerful goddesses, you know, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, dragons, shadow daddies, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so I like to put it into a kind of like a fantasy thing. So who is this main character? Who is this FMC of this story? What is the storyline? What is going on right here, right now in my world? Who is this main character? What is happening? And so I like to lean into that. So I like to take a moment, be quiet, put some frequency music on, put some like music that really kind of like, there's a lot of music out there at the moment that's like, you can go on Spotify and kind of type in like dark fantasy and stuff like that, and there's a lot of, or cinematic fantasy, or, you know, stuff like that. There's a lot of this kind of like classical, kind of powerful, like cinematic music out there. So you can put something that like that on. Maybe there's a particular singer-songwriter that you enjoy, put some of that on, something that lights you up, that gives you the feels. And then from there, you know, you sit and you just let it flow. Who am I right here, right now? Who is this character? What is she here for? What is she doing? What's her purpose? What's all that kind of stuff? So once I'd kind of thought about this, I had lots of things written down because I am a projector. I'm a self-projected projector. But the way that my human design is written is that I self-project from my G center, and I need to talk about my experiences. Therefore I become like a storyteller, and in becoming a storyteller, it influences. It's a byproduct is that it influences others. It helps others find a direction from there. My incarnation cross is all about seeing through the illusion. You know, there's a lot around this in my human design. So, you know, I've lent into my human design. I've lent into kind of who I am and how I see life now. And life isn't so serious for me anymore. Life is kind of playful, as you might have guessed from this whole video. You know, I don't take life too seriously anymore. It's a bit tongue-in-cheek. I play around with energy. I play around with writing my life story. I play around with all this stuff. My social media platforms are not social media platforms to create a following, to create an income, to do anything. They're just places to document me and my life and what's going on, what my thought processes are. And I 100%, I've written down here, treating life like a living story, not a plan or a goal. You know, and you know, I'm not chasing, I'm letting life come to me, and that's kind of exciting. And you know, and then I lean into being a woman and what that means, feminine energy. You know, for me, being a woman is being a witch. The two things are together. You know, what does that mean? A bit of spellcraft, a bit of ritualistic stuff. You know, when you think about the different areas that witchcraft kind of shows up in, you know, cooking, brewing, you know, stuff like that. So I've lent into that, you know. I feel like, you know, because I play around with the threads of energy, the word weaver comes up for me a lot. You know, because I'm kind of, I see those threads, I play around with those threads, I pull on those threads, I tweak those threads. You know, in a morning, I do move stuff around. It's part of what I do. I knot it, I move it, I tweak it. You know, so I am a bit of a weaver and a guide. The projector is a guide, right? But that the guiding me is a byproduct for me. It is who I am, but it's a byproduct. A projector is a guide, yes, and that is the top part of the human design, but I guide in a way that the guidance is a byproduct. Anyway, so I've lent into all this. I've lent into, well, I haven't, but I've touched on, but I'm going to lean into this week as I go through the next few days, leaning into the different life areas. I'm going to be asking myself, who is she in this area? Who is she in that area? Who is she in this area? You know, who is Gail? Who am I now when it comes to health and body? Who am I when it comes to wealth and abundance? Who am I now when it comes to love and relationships? You know? And I've written like a little synopsis, because that really, not a synopsis, but I guess like a, you know, what is this about? What is the book about? What is the next story about? And I've written, did I share this? I don't know. I was thinking about doing a reel. Did I record a reel? I think I used something else. I didn't use this. So I've written, they think it's all real, but she knows. She knows it is an illusion and she sees through it. She can see the threads woven across what they see as life and how it is held together. She doesn't shout from the rooftops about it, but she uses it to navigate her own life. And as she does, she creates portals. No, see, creates. I've got create there. That needs to be changed. She discovers, uncovers, explores. She explores portals that they can walk through too. So the idea of this kind of like life story is, you know, that life isn't what we think it is. And I totally believe that anyway. That's a total truth for me. Life is not what we think it is. Life is not this. Everything in our life is set around doing, and that is not what life is. Life is about being. It's about the frequency that you are being yourself in, and the frequency is what creates everything around us. And I see that, and I can see that. I can watch your life unfold on social media and see exactly why it has unfolded how it has. I can watch a friend's life unfold and know exactly why it's unfolded the way it has. I can see those threads. I can tweak my own threads. I can tweak yours with your permission and invitation. With your invitation, I can tweak yours too. You know, it is a thing. Tweaking threads, I can see the threads. My incarnation cross is all about seeing through the illusion, seeing what's underneath it, seeing what's real, and that's how this shows up for me. I've got my valleys. I'm the hermit opportunities, and I live in the wide valleys is my environment. So I'm not in the midst of things. I'm not in the marketplace. I'm not in the centre. I'm not in the town, the village hall, the village square. I'm not in that. I'm on the outskirts. And I'm on the outskirts of the kind of like the meeting place, and I'm kind of watching, and I'm looking, and I'm seeing, you know? And those who recognize what I share as being something that, oh, I didn't know you could live life this way, you know, that kind of thing, they can step closer, they can come to me. I'm not in that village market kind of touting my wares. I'm just over here doing my thing, sharing my thoughts, doing my self-projector thing, telling my stories, telling my experiences, feeling into how things unfold, using energy to navigate my life. I'm just over here doing that. And if you're in the marketplace and you're in the hustle and bustle and you just look up and you just see me just on the outskirts, the vision I have is like a wide valley, a river through it. That's where the central hub is. And I'm just like, you know, on Greece, where they're at the drag race at the end, and she's just sat on the hill just watching. That's how I kind of feel. This is the vision that I feel. I'm just sat on the hill, just watching life unfold, and I'm up there. And you know how at some point Frenchie kind of looks at her and goes, "Oh," and then she goes running up to her. That's kind of the vibe that I feel. So if you're in the marketplace and you're in the hustle and bustle and you're in the, you know, grind and the you know, doing, rushing, and you just look up there and someone's just sat there, just enjoying watching, just enjoying the moment, just being in the moment, just letting the energy kind of unfold, and you're like, oh, what's she doing? And you come to me and you want to find out more, then that's where there are portals and things that you can explore too. That is the main character of the next 6 months. That's who I'm going to be. That's who I am. I feel it. I see it. Like I say, I can just sense it. I can put myself in the moment, and I can feel it. I can feel what it feels like, and through feeling what it feels like, I can put a vision onto it. You know? That's where we are today, guys. That's where we are today. Yeah. I think that's it. That's all we've got to say. Do we want to pull a card? I've got my Rose Oracle here. I don't think Rose Oracle, I think I need to do some work with my Rose Oracle. It's not connected to me. I don't think it's connected to me. That card yesterday never really resonated. Maybe it's connected to you. Maybe it's someone out there who needed that card. I'm going to go get my Work Your Light cards. I will be back. Okay, so I've got my Work Your Light, another Rebecca Campbell. Like I said to you, I do like my Rebecca Campbell cards. So let me just get myself sorted. Okay, so we're talking about embodiment. The energy around me today is embodiment. I'm feeling into who my main character was. I don't know if you could see that, but that card was not moving. It was not shifting and going anywhere. So that is definitely the card for me today. It just was not shuffling. It would not move. And it was blocking me from carrying on shuffling as well. So that was interesting. So we have Priestess. How are you being called to step up and lead? Well, I've been kind of talking about that, because the way that I lead is like by a byproduct of kind of who I am, what I do, how I chat, what I talk about, all that kind of stuff. So let's see. 46. I'd highly recommend these cards. These cards are my go-to. I love these cards. I have 2 decks. I actually have about 12 decks. But this one and the Oracle of the 7 Energies are my go-tos. Anyway, the Priestess is I can't speak. The Priestess is a teacher dedicated to service, freedom, and leadership. You don't need to have it all together to lead. In fact, it helps if you don't. No one wants a perfect angel who hasn't made any mistakes. Let your life be the message. Don't underestimate the power of sharing your story. It's hearing someone else's journey that we feel less. It's in hearing someone else's journey that we feel less alone. We realise that we're actually all in this thing called life together. The difference between a follower and a leader is that the leader has the courage to go first. In stepping out, they shine a light on the path for others to venture forward to. Don't fret too much about trying to work out who is your tribe. I don't. Don't get stuck in age, income, hobbies, or occupation. The best way to discover your tribe is to look in the mirror. If you feel called to lead, the chances are it's because at some point in your life you longed for someone to lead you. Interesting. So I have always wanted the fly on the wall kind of feel. So I remember when I was getting into the bodybuilding lifestyle, all I wanted was what we now have actually in social media quite often, was to be able to see how someone lives, what was their lifestyle, how did it all come together, you know, to live that way, and just wanting to be a fly on the wall. And when I first started in energetics, again, it was the same kind of vibe, you know, when I started uncovering this, how do you live with this? How does this fit into life? How does this layer on top of life? So anyway, interesting. Your tribe are longing for the same thing as you were and are, and might only be one step ahead behind you. Hell, they may even be right alongside you. You don't need anyone's permission, just the courage to stand up, embrace your struggles, the peaks and the troughs. You don't need to know the way, just believe that there might be a different one. Your tribe is waiting for you. Step forward so they can find you. That is really valid at the moment. So as I'm going through this process, you know, there are times where I'm questioning myself. Am I doing the right thing by just kind of doing these diaries? And ultimately, if I wasn't doing diaries, I would be back where I was the last 6 months, where I'm trying to guide you. My intention is to guide you and to deep dive with you on things. And when I do it that way, you don't see the peaks and the troughs, as it says in there. You don't see the ups and downs. You don't see the hard times. And I do sometimes find it hard to speak through those hard times, but by actually getting this into a diary format, it means I get to speak about what's going on, whether it's good or whether it's bad. You know, Monday wasn't particularly good. Tuesday, you know, we started in frustration. I get to speak, I get to talk about those things, whereas prior to deciding that this felt right, and this prior to this being the intuitive pathway that came through, you know, I wouldn't have felt like I'm wanting to disclose bad times and when I was finding it tough, you know. Whereas now, because I'm like, I am just here to create a diary, I'm just here to log every day, I'm doing this to serve myself first, and whatever you get from it, you get from it, because it's that. You know, I'm a bit more free to do that kind of stuff. So the journey will have a level of truth that maybe it didn't have before, because I wasn't able to fully lean into those lower ebbs. Not here, anyway. Anyway, God, that's been a long one today. Right, I will let you go. I will see you maybe tomorrow. I've got to work out where I'm fitting the Saturday and Sunday ones in for these, but hopefully I will see you tomorrow. See what the universe creates for us today.